Hello, my name is Stephen Russell, and this is my oral book report for Management 653 Leading Organizations at Davenport University in Professor Lum's class. And the book that I'm doing my report on is Leadership Lessons of the Navy SEALs, Battle Tested Strategies for Creating Successful Organizations and Inspiring Extraordinary Results, which is by Jeff Cannon and Lieutenant Commander John Cannon. I'm going to jump right in. The author's purpose in writing on this subject is to provide a no-nonsense way of building organizations, teams, and developing yourself for being an effective leader. Next, summarize the content of the book covering key points. I'm going to give some background on the SEALs to give you an understanding of how the book is coming from. The SEALs, I'll give some background on the SEALs. They are one of the most successful organizations in the armed services. They are divided into squads of 7-man teams and carry out extremely difficult and dangerous missions. They work over 100 hours a week under the most intense pressure and extreme conditions that you could possibly imagine. They work out of town. They are out of the country. They have no perks, no office that has their name on it, that has air conditioning. Nor are they always able to come back and share what they accomplished. They risk their life and sometimes they die, yet they volunteered to be a SEAL. They're committed to the mission, their teammates, their team members, and the SEALs as an organization. They're loyal. They carry out missions that carry the weight and responsibility of national security. And they're paid far less than most people and are satisfied with their job, yet they do it with pride. The question is why? And the author explains that it's because the SEALs employ leadership tactics and team models that help them make effective decisions and complete successful goals and missions in these types of conditions. So the question is, who wouldn't want people like this for their organization? The author shares experience lessons upon lessons in how to obtain this in just 6 chapters. The author explains the mission or experience in the SEALs and shares the lesson for a real-world experience as well. The key points of the book are goal setting, how to lead and what it looks like, creating an organization and structuring it, team building, and keeping momentum going. What is the book's main argument? It's that you can be successful and build great organizations. You can be a successful leader no matter what you're faced with. And there is no feel-good emotionalism, no just excitement only. There's no fluff. It's all meat. It's all useful and it's all applicable. The tools that they share, they do so in such a way that instills strength and resilience because of the knowledge and experience that's behind it. And after reading it, you walk away strong and confident knowing the tools will work because they're tried and true from their experience. I'm serious about that. That's how I walked away from the book. Who seems to be the intended audience for the book? Well, it's for managers, it's for leaders, it's for organizations. Specifically helpful for failing leaders, failing organizations, or people that just are starting out. And also it's for leaders that are not charismatic. As long as you're willing to work hard and apply these sound leadership tactics, you can be a leader. How is the book structured? The book is structured with precision and simplicity. For example, it has just 6 chapters, yet each chapter has a range from 10 to 30 lessons, depending on which chapter you're reading. The way it starts is with a heading for the lesson and goes to the Navy SEAL mission experience. And then, let me start over. The way it starts is it'll have the topic for the lesson, and then it'll have the mission, which is the Navy SEAL experience. And then, and another subheading from there, it'll be the takeaway. how you apply that to your business. And within that, they offer examples from their experience in business. Does the structure of the book reinforce its larger argument, and how? Yeah, each chapter builds on itself and it reinforces the main topic. So each lesson that you're reading within the chapter is reinforcing the main theme of that chapter. What kinds of sources or examples does the book offer in support of its argument? Well, they offer real experience in the battlefield, in the corporate aspect of the military, and in the business world. How would you position the book in relation to our other reading assignments this term? Well, for me, I love the book. I really enjoyed the information that was provided in the course. I thought it was excellent. And I'm keeping it. However, the way this book was formatted, it's interesting and it's useful now. You could take it and apply it right now and feel confident about it. Some of the way there are articles that we read in the course were a little bit literary. And so this wasn't. This was straightforward. So to me, that appealed to me. Next, does the author seem biased or prejudiced in any way? Simple answer, no. I thought I'd go into detail on that a little more because bias in our culture can be misconstrued or have a different meaning. The definition of bias is prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. So again, the answer is no, there's no bias. I'll just share a little bit about that, some examples. It's a military background, and it is militaristic. It's no nonsense. It's straightforward, and it's this way. It's either, they just say, hey, this is it. Yet, it's not all like that. It's open to diversity of doing things. For example, with building an organization, the book says that sometimes there is no ideal structure for doing things. Therefore, successful leaders must be flexible in going about structuring their organization. In addition, successful leaders must be open to suggestions. They give an example in the field where SEAL teams went in and people would die because they didn't have all the information. It was just bad information. And missions have been canceled or adjusted when people speak up and offer advice. Therefore, leaders appreciate sound advice. So you apply that to the business world and you think about going down the wrong path with a plan, and that plan ends up being a disaster based on bad information. And what can happen there could be a major setback. People could lose their jobs. That would be, the casualties in business. Therefore, get advice, get feedback. Next, how persuasive is the book? On a scale of 1 to 10, I give it a 10. The reason why is because the leadership in the team building tactics, they're founded on real experience, and the SEALs as an organization and how successful that is, being used in the battlefield, being used in business, and lastly, persuasive. The book is authoritative the tone. And so that really instills confidence if you're reading that, because you walk away confident and you feel very, you have a knowing that you can do it. It's no longer like an idea. You walk away knowing. Next, I want to talk and tie this into some of the the tactics and the lessons in the book and apply them to a couple articles. The first one, the articles that we read in class, is by Janet Ledesma in 2014. She wrote an article on resilience theory, and I'm going to give a quote for that. Resilience is defined as the ability to bounce back from adversity, frustration, and misfortune, and is essential for the effective leader. Survival, recovery, and thriving are concepts associated with resilience and describe the stage at which a person may be during or after facing adversity. So what that's saying is that to be an effective leader, you have to have resilience, but what shapes that? And that's adversity. And how you respond to that is going to define you as a leader. So, how does that tie into the book? Well, you either lead or you don't. I'm going to share one of their experiences on what they call the mission, which is in the Navy SEALs. There was one time where they were on a boat and there was an explosive in the water, and it was getting closer to the boat. It was about 20 feet away, and they were all talking about, how best to do it and what they should do. And finally, there was one person that spoke up and said, look, enough, silence. He had a little bit of rank. He said, you guys go in and you get a hole in that and you sink it now. And that was the end. So the takeaway from that was that somebody has to be in charge. And if it's you, make a decision. By waiting, you are making a decision to wait. And by waiting, you are risking losing further control of your situation. So if you know what is right, if you know what you want and that what you want's right, make the decision. And that's how people know that you're a leader, because they see you as the decider. And also, leaders should be seen and heard in business. People need to see you, hear you, know that you're in charge, even if it's just status quo work with emails. But it's in the tough situations that leadership is seen. And this is the tone of the book. It's confidence. There was never any fear about anything. There was never anything about waffling. And that's the tone of the book, confidence. There's never, it's resilience to get the job done, but in practicality and applicable to business. The book on the Navy SEALs and Ledesma are in agreement in that leaders prove themselves as resilient when going through a really tough spot. The response is action. The next article I want to tie in from the book is called, it's by T. Kahn, H. Kahn, and M. Wariak. In 2014, they wrote an article called An Interactive Team Leadership, a conceptual model for team-based organizational effectiveness in large hierarchical organizations. Now, there's one aspect of that I wanted to concentrate on, and that was feedback and communication. Here's a quote from that article. Without directly getting feedback of lower-level employees, getting the best out of them is not possible. The proposed model of interactive team leadership emphasizes on this aspect and suggests a monitoring team for that purpose. Not surprisingly, high-performing teams communicate effectively. So basically, what these authors are saying is that feedback is essential to having teams perform and communicate effectively. So you need that for success. Now, the book gives an the book offers their mission aspect, and give you an example. One time on the field, they were had a mission, they had an objective. Things didn't go as planned, and the guy in charge of that squad didn't know what to do, and so he asked his team members for advice on what to do. And you know what? He used several of their ideas, and then they completed the mission. He went through the chain of command, of course, to make sure that they could do those things. But he got the advice from them. And the takeaway for the business world of that mission was that they said most of your good ideas are going to come from your people and not you. Therefore, listen to them and look for ways to let them know that you're interested. Visit them, find ways to stay in communication with them, and let them know that you are interested in their feedback. You are making a budget, so talk to them. If they ask them if they're happy with their job, you need to ask them. You need to be in communication with them. However, you need to let them know to keep it in the chain of command, but let them know that you're listening. That completes my presentation. I just want to thank you, and I'm sorry if it was long.